goes the record. Here goes the encoder. And you're good to go.
Thank you, Dave. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Barside. I'm your host, Remy. This is my lovely co-host, Lauren.
Hi.
And this is my good friend, Chrissy.
Hi.
Now, we met almost a year ago, exactly a year ago, because it was end of October when I hired in at PBS, the old Punch Bowl Social.
Punch Bowl.
And Chrissy was one of my trainers, and she was my favorite trainer. She was awesome. And we've been meaning to have you on the podcast for so long. So thank you so much for making time for us tonight and joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad we finally got a chance to connect,
Absolutely.
Took some time, but we're here now.
So now I have no idea if Punch Bowl ever opened back up or if they're going to have a Detroit store, or are you affiliated with them at all anymore?
So I have a love-hate relationship with them.
Yeah.
So, I was a part of their corporate team for a little while, and I helped them traveled and helped them open up stores. So, I'm not affiliated with them no longer as far as like working for the company. I just pretty much never came back after I had my daughter.
Yeah.
So, but they are reopening from what I understand, but they have a lot of going on in corporate. So the CEO of the company resigned. I don't even know how that happened.
Okay.
But, yeah, right. I'm like, you own the company and you resign. So, well, he owned the majority share. He owned like 51%, something like that. So, but he resigned, and I guess they're looking for someone to take his place or fill his shoes. But in the meantime, they've been slowly but surely opening up each store. And there are rumors that the Detroit location will be opening up very soon. And they did do like a pretty much a whole massive rehire. Like the majority of people who used to work for them don't work for them any longer.
All right.
And like their whole training team is pretty much going to each store and like teaching them, showing a new staff the ropes. So
awesome. All the stuff, all the goofy little tricks of the trade that they had for us to learn. It was quite an intense training process. I remember that. It's not the kind of place where it matters how long you've bartended before. Like, you have to do their training program. It's a corporate structured kind of thing, which is not my favorite kind of place to work for, but whatever. I've done it, and it was cool. And I got to meet a lot of great people, including you. So it was worth it.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
For Punch Bowl, for what it was, the Detroit store was definitely different from the one that was in DC. It was definitely like a learning curve for sure. But yeah, I appreciate it for what it was. I wish them all the best. I will never work for them again. I'll say that.
That's a herd.
Yes. No.
Yeah, I think that's my last corporate job ever too. Like, as far as bars and restaurants go.
Yeah, as far as bars go, I don't. I should have known better, because I worked for Bar Louie for about 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
And I should have known, and I didn't like it then. I don't know why. I thought, I don't know. You think like you're gonna work your way up the ladder somehow, and then things will fall in hands. And
so,
it happens, but
they suckered me in because they were like, we're hiring managers, and I was like, oh, I could go manage that place. That would be cool, Like, I go in and just skip the whole rigmarole of working my way up the ladder and just jump in. And then I interviewed, and it was like, oh no, that's not how we do it. Like, you're gonna be a bartender. And I was like, oh. Okay. Right. Well, there's some good money to be made. It's holiday season, maybe it'll work out. And I was like, no, I hate it.
Putting out job ads out there saying that they're looking for management.
Yep.
So
it's a sneaky little trick that a lot of corporate places do. They're like, oh, you've got management experience and stuff. We don't care. Like, come and be a grunt.
Like, I saw a bartending position for $15 an hour, but you didn't get tips. And I was like, whatever, at least I get $15 an hour, and then I like went in and they were like, actually, we do like $10 an hour. And then every year we give you 50 cents more, and it caps off at 15. And I'm like,
yeah,
no.
Man, everyone's looking for a job right now, and I've been like hunting on Indeed pretty much for the perfect job, and there are all these positions that are like essentially like sales positions, but purely like no salary, and all commission, and they get you in by like, oh, management training, oh, you're gonna make $80,000 a year, but like, we all know, like you go into a sales job the first year without any salary, you're probably going to make like $20,000 or something, if that. You're lucky if you get that.
If you
So you
make it to
get
the point where
into that.
they're giving you actual money, they're not jumping right up to 80,000.
No, absolutely not. That's like the cap at like 6 years or something.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I feel your pain, like because I've gotten a lot of that. And it's crazy whenever I get jobs are like hounding me, like they're calling me, like, hey, we saw you put your application in. Where are you? Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, I know this is some bullshit. Like I'm not even going to bother you. And Indeed has been kind of doing people dirty. And in a sense, like, because your resume can be out there for the public to see, you have all these random companies that'll call you and stuff or like email you. And then I'm like, okay, so what position did I apply for? And then that's when they stop responding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my first experiences with that, and it was like, oh, I was in my late teens, early 20s, and it's like, get a good jump on life and be a salesman and all this kind of stuff. And then you show up and it's like you're going door to door, like trying to sell coupon packages for pizza and shit. And you're like, what?
Right.
And they don't tell you what you're doing. They don't tell you what you're doing until you're in the van driving to a neighborhood, and then it's like,
Right.
well, if you want to quit now, go ahead. But like, we're in the van, so you can walk around with us for 5 hours and do this, or call a buddy to get you a ride. Or the other one was selling knives for Cutco.
Oh my God, or whatever too.
Yeah, vacuum cleaners and door-to-door salesman kind of stuff. And you're like, you learn to look for that shady kind of stuff. Like, there's certain words that they use and phrases, and you're like, man, this could be some bullshit.
I mean, everyone's you got to do the job. Someone's got to do the job, right?
Right.
It's like you're getting stuck in a pyramid scheme, only like you live it day to day and you can't just do it from home and eventually stop doing it.
Right.
Keep going.
The job search is like, it's real out here. Like, I'm kind of over bartending, to be honest. I mean, I never say never. You never know where life will send you, but I've been bartending for like 10 years. I'm like, I'm just so over the bullshit and the hustle. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, just trying to find the right fit for myself right now. It's really, really tough. The job market is just like, it's shit.
Yeah, it's insane. And, it's like, then you have to worry about, well, do I want a job where I'm working with the public? If everybody can come in and take off their mask, like, I don't want to work in a job like that. I'm sorry. Right. Like, COVID is real and scary. And I'm not trying to get it because somebody wants to go out and, have a couple of drinks and hang out with their friends. And it's like, as soon as they sit down, they act like they're safe and they can take their mask off. I got a job at a cool little bar in Plymouth over the summer, and I went to one training and was like, nope, I can't do it. Sorry, like, not till COVID's over. I'm not going back to serving the public.
Right. No, it makes people aren't behaving. I mean, I see pictures of people at nightclubs and stuff, and it's just like there's nobody wearing masks. They don't give a fuck. They're just like all over each other, like it's not even a pandemic out here. And I mean, my husband had COVID, and so I didn't have it. Luckily, I didn't contract it. And luckily we have enough space to where he pretty much had his side of the house and I had my side of the house. It's kind of how it worked. But it's not the worst thing, but it is pretty harsh. And the thing is, it's like if you're not generally healthy, it can kill you. And after the aftermath is the worst part. I mean, he didn't have to use an inhaler or anything. He's now like asthmatic.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So,
and I already have asthma, so I'm not even trying to get COVID with asthma.
Right, and I do too. That's why I'm like, if I probably would be on a ventilator. I have shitty lungs.
Yeah.
Well, and there's just no telling about it. It's like some people get it hard, some people don't. Some people appear to be young and healthy and get it bad, and some people, old and infirm or have health problems and they get it real bad. But like, you're taking a chance just by getting it, and it's a virus. That means it's not going away. They're not necessarily going to ever find a cure for it. You never know what kind of health problems are down the road. It's hard to not have our podcast every week and talk a little bit about COVID, because it's just so prevalent in our lives, and especially in what we do.
I've been out of work for 8 months now. It's like I haven't bartended at all in 8 months. Like, it's hard to not like talk about that and be like, this is crazy.
It is. It's crazy. How do you feel rusty? Because I feel like I don't even know what the fuck to do anymore. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
like
Sometimes I'll pull up like drink recipes and stuff just to be like, oh, let me like make sure I remember how to make all this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like I
So
don't even know if I would know what the prices are at my work anymore.
Right.
from me, because like I've done it, I've been in and out of the industry for 20 years. So, I took some breaks. I took some like year-long breaks, year and a half long breaks, and then would go back to bartending and stuff. It's like riding a bike. You fall into the old routines and you pick it up again pretty quick. So like there's a little bit of rust to shake off. But for the most part, like you get behind a bar and start talking to people, and that's really what the job's about. It's like they'll teach you how to make the drinks.
To me is like, you know how like everyone's kind of just like, okay, you know what? I needed a break from bartending anyway. So like, okay, cool. I miss it now. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I miss being at work. I miss being awake until 4 a.m. I miss like fighting with people. I miss, like whatever. I miss kicking people out. I miss finding the one person, like the woo girl bachelorette party. And even though they're so annoying, I miss having fun at work and like enjoying being there.
Yeah, I miss the fun part too. I realized like my life, bartending for me was like being social.
Yeah.
So I bartended for 1 week before COVID. So I had the baby, had my daughter in December. And then like pretty much like the weekend, I don't know, it was like March 15th or something like that week when they started shutting things down or when Trump declared a national emergency. I bartended for 2 days. And I was so disappointed because I was like broke because I hadn't worked in like 4 months. And I was like, oh man, I really need this money, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, boom. You know, and then I didn't get unemployment for like 4 months or something like that. So it was rough. It was definitely a rough ride for sure. It still is. Like I still don't have a job. I haven't worked.
Well,
I feel like I haven't worked
nearly enough in unemployment to live off of.
Then my unemployment is not enough. Like because I hadn't worked since November. I didn't really have a job I could like report my actual income to.
Yep.
Because I was on maternity leave. And you don't really get maternity leave when you're a bartender, you just stop fucking working. Yep. So I didn't have any way to report like how much money I actually could make. So I just got the bare minimum. So it's like $100 a week or something. So like what the fuck, I can't do shit with that. Like that's
exactly what I'm getting. It's like insane how $400 a month. My rent is $900 a month.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what the hell? What am I supposed to be doing with that?
Like $100 a week. I'm mad if I go in and work a Friday night and make $100. Like that's not enough for one night.
One night.
And that's a big problem, and we've talked about it before on the show with the whole system of the restaurant industry, the bar industry. It's like you've got these people that, oh well, we don't have to pay them jack because they're making so much in tips. Like these guys are killing it, blah blah blah. But they also don't offer any kind of benefits, and they don't offer any kind of like there's no union for any kind of job protection. So it's when you look at the big picture of being a bartender and a server, unless you're real good with your money and like saving and spending in the right places and like setting up your own kind of, you're paying for your own healthcare and you're doing this and you're saving into a 401k. So it's not a good job. Like it's not a good job unless you find a place where you can make like 50, 60 grand a year at it, 70 grand a year, and you're real good with that money. And it's so steady that like, okay, now I can pay my bills and I can pay for this. I've always found that like, I'll make good money in the bar industry, but I'll still be living week to week, hand to mouth, like, oh,
yeah, but I think that's because I'm just like, oh, I'm going to work next weekend and I'll have money so I can spend the money I have right now.
Part of it is discipline.
I have to wait 2 weeks to get money, and I know how much money I'm getting in 2 weeks. It's like I have to wait until next weekend, and then I could make $500. I could make $1,000.
Right.
So, but I know that I'm gonna make something.
So I come from like a different background when it comes to bartending. So I started bartending in DC. And I worked from like the high-end nightclubs to like the high-end like cocktail bars to like the Dive bars or whatever, but if you're a bartender in that general neck of the woods, you're making at least $60,000 a year. That's just how it goes. And bartending is treated like a career. It's not like a shitty job. I feel like here, Detroit, and I don't, no shade, no harm, but like here, Detroit, people just treat it like it's just like some shitty job. And in a sense, it kind of is, because people don't make as much money as you would living in a larger city. You know, people aren't making $50,000, $60,000. It's not like you can't really earn, you can't live well. You can't live like a doctor or a lawyer or whatever here and bartend, you know? So, and that was kind of what like rocked my world a little bit when I got here, because I came from an area where, you know, it's very competitive to bartend. Everywhere you're making money. I mean, like, you're not making as much. Like, I've worked at a place where I'm making like the minimum I'm making is like 200 on a closing or something like that. But I've also worked at the place where I'm making like 900 a night on a closing. So it's like, you know, but even making $200 on a closing on a weekday is still really fucking good. Yeah. You know, it's still not bad. So it's like, it's competitive in that way because the income is there. And so everyone does their job. Like, everyone is like doing their job to perfection, you know, like we're all hustling and bustling and we're all trying to make money. And then when I get to Detroit and I'm just like working with other bartenders, it's just kind of like a shock to my system a little bit. I'm like, y'all don't want to talk to people. You don't want to move fast. You want to like serve people like spoiled old fruit and shit. Like, come on. Don't you want to make some fucking money? Just, you know, it was just really hard adjustment. And then of course, you know, I don't want to be like an asshole know-it-all bartender. We all know one of those Matt Spanish, whatever, you know, the term. Yeah, like nobody wants to be that fucking bartender. So, you know, I'm always trying my best not to like be a know-it-all or like tell people what to do or anything. That's not even in my personality, really. Like, it's just like, that's not what I want to do. But it's like, I also want to make money. We're all on the same team. Like, you know, we all should be on the same program. So that was definitely a really hard adjustment coming here from working in DC and then coming to Detroit. And that's what honestly has turned me off here. Like, I don't want to bartend in Detroit. I don't want to bar unless like I'm working a special event or something like that. I don't know. And I'm making $500-$600. I could deal with that. But like consistently, unless I'm making like $50,000-$60,000 a year, no, I'm not dealing with it. It's just not to me. It's just not worth all the bullshit that comes along with it. If I'm
100%, and I found that, and you know, unfortunately, I stuck in bartending. I didn't move anywhere. You know, I know people who live in Chicago and bartend and make great money. You know, like you said, DC, other, you know, bigger major cities, or like Orlando. You know, if you work at one of the corporate restaurants in Orlando, like, you're killing it. It's busy all the time. I mean, we're talking pre-COVID here, but still, you can make a career out of it because you know that like the worst shift you're gonna have all week is $200. You know what I mean? Like, here it's just way too inconsistent. Like, you're at a spot and it's hot and it's popping and like everybody's there and you're making great money, and then the next thing you know, it's not the flavor of the month anymore and nobody's showing up at your bar. And
or it's just like, you know, when you're like relying off of having DJs and stuff, a lot of these places that have like big name DJs that come through, and it's like, you know, one night you have a sellout DJ, you're going to be ramped, you're going to make a crap ton of money. But then tomorrow night you have some, you know, local cat and he only brings his 20 friends and that's about it. And you've got 7 bartenders behind the bar.
Right.
You know, like, it really depends on like what's happening and whether or not people are out that night and if there's any other competing shows. Because, you know, I work at like nightclubs and stuff. So it's like, if there's another place also having an event, is our event better than theirs or not? You know?
Yeah. Well, it's an oversaturated market in Detroit as well. You know, it's not as big a city as it needs like all these bars and restaurants. So there's so many choices for the consumers to go out and like, what are we doing this Saturday night? You know, like, we're not going to the same old spot. We're going to go check out this new place or check out that place and whatever. And they can't all be crazy popular and busy and packed all the time. So something's got to fall by the wayside. Yeah.
I mean, even the like liquor industry here is like, they compete with one another too, because it's like everyone's promoting to the same group. Because I feel like it's like a set group here in Detroit that actually go out, and it's like this. I see the same faces all the time. it's rarely new faces. It's like the same people who keep going out and they frequent, I don't know, like 5 different bars in their circle or whatever. But the brands here are even competing for the same pool of people. Like just comparing the liquor industry, DC industry, to the one here in Detroit, it's like brands actually work together in DC, like all the liquor reps, because there was just so much. It was just so much going on that everyone, like you could have 2 brands at one event, and then the liquor reps are friends and stuff like that,
Right.
and it was cool. But here it's like, just my experience of working with a couple of people, like they talk so much trash about each other. They're undermining each other for events. Like it's crazy. I'm like, wait, there's enough. I mean, I guess it's not enough food for everybody to eat. I'm assuming. I guess that's why everyone is like that here. But it's crazy because I don't feel like, I feel like it's so saturated here. It is very saturated with just like, and it's not enough people here and not enough disposable income for the stuff that's here.
Yeah, it makes sense. And so I struggled along with it for a long time. I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to Detroit bartending or not, figure something out and stuff, even after the COVID. But like, I know people that they got into serving in restaurants and bartending and stuff when they were real young, like 18, 19, 20, when a lot of people get into it. And I was kind of late to the game. But then like a couple good friends of mine, they moved down to Miami in the 90s and bartended down there. And it was like, that's like a gold mine. You know what I mean? Like you got in Miami in the 90s, like they were making 100, 110 a year, easy. Like easy money.
Yeah,
so
man.
Just, that's the market that you want to be in.
Right. You just got, I mean, sometimes you can find those places where you can work for the whole summer and then you can just like take off the winter time. Like sometimes I hope for that job. Like if there's ever like a waterfront situation that ever happens in Detroit, I'm definitely gonna be trying to get into that.
Yeah.
I'll be working a double for 3 months straight and then like take care of my daughter for the rest of the winter or whatever, and just chill. I think it's definitely possible to like, come up like 50,000-60,000 in the summertime if you can. I don't know if that can happen here, but if that ever happens, sign me up.
Whoever's watching this, if you
whoever's opening up some waterfront restaurant property, 10-year veteran bartender right here, get him a job.
That's honestly what it's all about. Like I've always said, if I were to ever own my own bar, I would want something on a lake that had a lot of lake people on it, a lakeside bar. And then you start off with that, with like live music and whatever, and all the, you have a dock so that you can have girls in bikinis like selling to the boats and stuff like that. And then once you've made enough money, you put in a gas station next door too, with like a dock for that, so people can pull their boat in and fill up with gas and all that kind of stuff, and then just go.
Oh,
so
that's
like
dope.
Yeah, you got a bar, you got a gas station, all in one kind of thing. And it's a license to print money, because lake people, they've got disposable income. They're already out on the boat all weekend long. They want a place to go and stuff like that. You sell them all their beer and liquor to stock their boat up, and you're good to go. But other than that, I don't want to own my own liquor.
Yeah, I'm on the fence of whether I want to own my own place or not. I don't know. I've done so much in the industry, and I've just seen how hard it is, to like keep things consistent. Like, things going bad, things get thrown away. It's just so much waste, and like, I don't know.
It's a tough decision to make, and some of the successful bars that I know of were owned by rich people. They don't need they're not owning the bar because they need the money. They're owning the bar because it's something cool to do, and it's a place where they can hang out with their friends and blah blah blah, and they make good money too at it. But no, the ones that like scrimp and save and mortgage their house and put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, it eventually fails. Like that's just the way it goes around here. It sucks.
Right.
I guess I'm sure there's exceptions to the story, but for the most part, I've seen it happen too often to want to put my blood, sweat, and tears and take out a bunch of loans from my friends to own my own place.
I wanted to owned my own bar for a really long time until I became the general manager of a bar where like I worked directly underneath the owner and not like a different manager, you know?
Yep.
And yeah, I was like, no thanks.
Too much work, too much stress, you know. Yeah.
Too much.
Too many things that can go wrong.
I was working all day, every day, and I wasn't even doing half of the stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. I mean, if you're a owner, should really just like kind of pass everything on to the GM and the owner. I feel like if you own a business, you know, as
if
in
you
a
have
restaurant,
the money to just step away, then yeah.
yeah.
But if you're trying to save by, you know, taking care of most of the stuff that somebody else would be taking care of, and then having your GM basically be like your assistant,
right?
You know.
Yeah, and that's what happens with a lot of the mom and pop places, which is too bad because those are the people that I like to work for. They're passionate about it. They love it. They, you know, again, their heart is in it and stuff a little bit more than the rich people who just kind of like, oh, well, this is my club. I own a bar now, you know, whoop-de-doo, no big deal.
I've never
I'm going to
worked
hire
at a
somebody
bar before, but I own one now.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the people who kill me. It's like, you've never fucking done this.
Right.
How does that even work? You don't know shit.
Yeah, how do you tell me how to do my job if you've never even done my job before?
Right. Like, I don't expect people to like, you know, have been like an industry vet necessarily, but damn, at least need you to know like, you know, how to make a fucking Cosmo or something, you know?
Well, not even the bartender.
All.
I'd rather they just know, because like I worked for a guy and he was super nice. He was a really great guy, and he bought this like really cool looking spot. It had just like a good vibe to it, but it was in the middle of a strip mall, so it was in an awkward place. And in the strip mall was an established bar, like right down at the other end of the strip mall, that like did big business. And he was just kind of like the small in between thing. And it was like he bought it from somebody and they had the idea and they dressed it up, but it failed with them. And it was like, he came in knowing absolutely nothing about the restaurant industry. And it's like, dude, that's not a recipe for success. That's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
And he hired my buddy as GM, but then he handcuffed him every time he tried to make a decision. It was like, look, man, like, you need to rethink this. You know, like, do you just want to own a cool place where you can go hang out with your friends? Then if you want to do that, turn over like 100% of it to your GM and let him like choose the style, choose the food, hire the chefs, hire the bartenders. Like, you need to distance yourself from it some more. You can't be like half in and half out on this. It doesn't work that way. It ended up just, he couldn't figure out what he wanted the place to be, and he was trying to do different food and different drink specials, and it's like eventually it kind of went under and sold to another place and turned into another place, and by then I was long gone. But I was like, it's a shame because it's a really cool little spot. You probably could have done something great with it.
I've had a lot of interesting, like, just working with owners and then like a manager. So I do have a business. I do event planning. I handle freelance events. So like I'll do things from like a bar crawl or like I don't know, artist launch party, or just like a paint and sip, like something fun for like young people to do. Pretty much like a lot of the age groups I focus on maybe anywhere between like 25 to 35. But last year I did an event for the CIAA, which is a basketball tournament. It usually is hosted in Charlotte. This year it's in Baltimore. But I was communicating with the owner about it, you know, the party that I'm hosting, and the event planner kind of gets in between it, and it's like, so it's obvious that the owner wants me to have this party there, and the event planner is trying to charge me something like way different than the owner is telling me. It's just like there's this huge gap in like communication between them, and I ended up just not hosting the event there. And it was crazy because it was like we were communicating for 2 months, and then they had like taken so long to get back to me about everything, and like there was all these discrepancies and mistakes and all this kind of stuff, that I ended up losing like some prime marketing positions for me to like actually promote my event. So it was kind of like, without those spots, it's like, why the fuck am I going to do this? I'm not going to make any money. So I ended up like telling them I can't move forward with it anymore. And it was just really frustrating because it's like, because the owner was just so involved.
Yeah.
He should have just taken a step back and let her handle it.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and
It's
I
just,
found that a couple of different times with different owners that it's like, man, this place would be great if you wouldn't be so hands-on. It's like you're the owner, come in and just like schmooze everything. Don't, when you get in there and try and stir the pot and you're trying to be the chef and the bartender and the manager and all that stuff. They're like, no, that's why you hire good people to do those jobs and you let them do their job. Get out of their way.
right.
Stepping on toes. Well.
Yeah, we know. We know the stories. I mean, we're all vets here. I mean, we've been in the industry for a while. Sounds like each one of us.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing is I can't stand when people are like a manager comes in and they're just like dictating everything and standing over you and making sure you do it right and all that stuff. It's just like, I can do it and you can come in here and tell me if I did something wrong and I'll change it. But, just standing over me, like you might as well just do it.
Right.
Like why?
Don't
Why
suffocate me.
Right. Don't suffocate. And that's the
in general is like a surefire way to lose some really good quality employees.
Oh, absolutely. Because I'll be gone. I will walk out of the place. I've definitely had my fair shares of walking out of places. Well, okay. Well, I only did it one time. I did walk out of one of my jobs one time, but I'm sure the sexual is real in the.
Yeah, I want to know what was your last straw, Chrissy? Like, what pushed you over there? I just be like, you know what? Fuck this, I'm out.
My manager had walked behind me, facing forward, like behind the POS in the bar, and we had like this much space. You know how it's like that little gap. And he walked forward and like his penis basically touched my ass. And I just wasn't having it anymore. I was just like, you know what, fuck it. And then he would hire all these like drug addict stripper bitches and stuff that he was sleeping with. I was like, I'm just fucking over this shit. So,
he knew what he was doing when he squeezed behind you, is what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely. He fucking knew what he was doing. I was just over it. I'm just tired of it,
Good for you. No, that's I believe, honestly, because people will say like you should never just like walk off a job and quit. No, there's reasons why you can absolutely should do that, and that's one of them. Like blatant sexual harassment like that, grinding up against you as they're walking by. That's that's something that's not tolerable. And
right.
Shouldn't be. So good for you. I'm glad you shared that story with us.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever walked off a job. Yeah, I have, but not in this industry. I quit. I was a mover for a while. I worked for a moving company, and one day in the middle of the summer, I'd had enough, and so I did like half the job. I had to do 2 jobs, and I did one of them, and I came back and gave him my clipboard, and he's like, "So you're not going to do the other job?" And I'm like, "No, man, I'm gone. I can't do this anymore." But it's funny too, because I did for like a year and a half, but I don't know what it was about that day. I had my fill. I was like, I don't want to move another goddamn person. This is insane. I can't do it anymore. But usually like what I'll do is I'll work at a bar or restaurant and I'll hate it so much that I'll get fired from bitching about it too much. Right. So, it's like, instead of just quitting or giving my 2 weeks and going and finding something else, I'll just be like, God, this place sucks so bad. This place sucks so bad. And finally they're like, well, if you hate it so much, like you're fired. And I'm like,
right. That happens quite often. They don't like anyone who's just like spoils the bunch, and honestly, I almost always hate all my bartending jobs, like almost probably like 90% of the time. I think I've hated all my fucking jobs, but I would like I think we all did. I feel like everybody hated their job. Like, sometimes you want to go do stuff with your friends on the weekends, but then, you don't want to miss out making that, extra $500-$600, that's like your rent money or whatever. And, you're dealing with people's bullshit. People are assholes to you. You want to drink. You can't sit there and watch people get drunk when you want to be drunk yourself. It's like, it's rough. Like I said, I feel like, I've hated most of my jobs because of that. And I've had jobs where you can drink and I still hate that too. It's like, because then you get fucked up. You get so fucking wasted. Like, I don't even think I'm not a responsible drinker. I'm not going to lie. I'm not. I'm a fucking terrible drinker. I drink. I will fucking drink. I can drink a whole goddamn liter to like over the course of the night and be okay. And actually like be legend, you can actually understand what the fuck I'm saying. Like, and when you're working like that, it's really tough, man. Like, it's just like, you ever work somewhere where it's like you drink so much on the job and then it's hard to work there sober because you're so used to drinking so much. I don't know, man.
the worst is I was working at a place where like they were totally cool with us drinking on the job. And then it got abused too much. So they're like, all right, we're cutting it out. And it's like, well, number one, half of you, like 90% of your staff are raging alcoholics and they can't work without alcohol now, you know? So like, you've given us this, you know, you got us addicted to this stuff, to working like this, and now we can't do it at all. So of course everybody's doing it. And then they would have their favorites, and some people would get away with it and other people wouldn't. And it was like how well you can hold it. And I'm the same. Like if I start drinking and like I get a couple shots in me, I can't hold my liquor. I'm not good. Like I'm not going to throw up, but I'll start getting obnoxious and I'll drop a glass and I'll break a bottle. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm
like,
gonna be fucked up.
I'll be fucked up, and you can tell that I'm fucked up.
Right.
Like everybody else is blackout wasted, and they're talking to you straight to your face, and you can't even tell they're drunk. Me, I'm like, I'm fine. Like, let me get back there. I'll keep making drinks. Right? It's fine.
I mean, I used to, man, like one of the places where I worked, we used to get so drunk. Oh my gosh. It was just like a drink fest. We would work, our shift would start at 3:00 and we would get off at like 5 a.m. But pretty much the moment we get there, we do our like beginning shot. Like, okay, we got to get over, you know, it's like, you know, hair of the dog or whatever. And then we're drinking at like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 o'clock. That's when it's go time. And it's like, we were drinking. Like, I don't know, like every hour on the hour, we're taking like 3 or 4 shots. I don't know. It was just like how it was, man, you know? And I was definitely the worst one. I think I'm probably like the worst one, like, cause it was kind of a small like club group or whatever. But I was also like their highest grossing bartender out of the whole company. So they kind of were like, you know, whatever. But I used to get fucking, like, I got so drunk one time, I remember I cussed the owner out. Like, that's how bad it was. So, you know, I'm not trying to brag. It was actually, it's a terrible, terrible habit to get into. So like when places actually allow you to drink, I don't even want to work there. I don't even like working at places where I can drink.
It's too dangerous.
It's too dangerous. I'm gonna do some stupid shit. I know I'm gonna get too drunk. I'm gonna do something stupid. I'm gonna get fired, or I'm gonna cut somebody out, or whatever. Or, you know, it's just not gonna be a good combination. I mean, mind you, I'll be there. That won't happen for a good couple of years. I mean, I can ride out on a bar job. Like I was working at this one place for like 4 years before, you know, I ended up stopped working there. But I was, you know, drunk all the time. But I'm just like, I don't even want to work at a place that'll let me drink, because I know it's like mistakes happen and stuff. So, you know.
Well, I know I don't have like, a lot of self-control when it comes to stuff like that. So
it takes a real special person to be able to do it. Like, oh yeah,
especially
so
if I'm like, people are buying me shots and I'm just going like, my sales are going through the roof, and I know that I look like I'm fucking the best bartender, and I'm like, you know, obviously basically everyone's riding on my sales, you know.
Right. Yeah, and you're making money, you're having fun.
Yeah. Hanging out with my regulars.
Right. You're a little drunk, but it's okay, you know.
Right. I can always, my drawer's never off, and I can always count my cash at the end of the night and everything's fine. You know?
I'm the same way.
Should I drive home? Probably not.
Oh yeah, no, I never.
Yep.
I Uber to work.
Well, again, like the alcohol loosens you up a little bit. You're funnier at least you seem funnier in your own head when you're drunk. You know what I mean? You probably, not everybody sounds the same, but like I'm always, you know, the life of the party when I got 3 shots in me, and then like a total nightmare when I've got 10 shots in me. So it's, you know, how are you going to tell Remy to only, like, you can drink at work, but only do 3 shots? I'm like,
right.
Well, yeah. No.
You better not be drinking more than 3 shots, Rems begins.
Exactly.
Right. After a while, my managers were like, okay, you can't start drinking until after midnight. I was like, all right, cool. But then I'm going to take
I can do a lot of damage in 2 hours.
Oh yeah, I would drink the fucking. Okay, you know, there was another time where I walked out of one of my jobs. I forgot about this. There was this place. It was on the waterfront. It was this huge establishment. It was a locally owned place or whatever. And I was working. I remember I was a leasing consultant during the day, and then I was working there at night. So I was working like 2 or 3 days a week, closing during the weekdays. And I was making like $60 fucking on a closing shift, like because they would overstay. they were overstaffed because like the kitchen was really fucked up. So like they just thought they needed to have more staff on because to keep up with like the orders and stuff. It didn't really, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing because it didn't make any sense to staff more bartenders if the kitchen is fucked up, you know?
Right.
So we weren't making any money. Like I'm working with like 7 bartenders on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Like who the fuck does that, you know? And so my last straw was I like I said, I made like $60 on a Tuesday. I had just came from working my 9 to 5. I'm getting off at like 1 a.m. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. So I grabbed a fucking bottle of like Macallan 28 and like a bottle of Pappy. And me and my bartender friend, we were just there. We just started fucking drinking that shit. We just like grabbed the glass and sat on the bar. We were just like, you know what? Fuck this place. And we were just we drank that shit. We didn't drink all of it, but we made a sizable dent in those bottles. And we're just like, I never came back.
Yeah, I think that's how I left. I was working at Fishbones downtown Detroit way back in the day, like early 2000s. And I decided I had enough. It was time to move on. And so I told my manager and was like, yeah, this is gonna be my last shift. Like I'm quitting. And he's like, well, all right, cool. You know, like, so go ahead and he's like, go ahead and have a drink. You know, it's your last shift. I really don't care. Like, you know, we're not going to fire you. You get to, but then I had like a couple of drinks and he's like, all right, so, you know, now if you're going to drink, you got to come out from behind the bar. Like if you're quitting, you're quitting. Like a little goes a long way kind of thing.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, you know, yeah.
No regrets.
No, I don't have any regrets. When I look back on things, I actually laugh at myself. I'm like, I don't believe I did that shit. Like, they probably could have sued me for all the shit that I drank.
Yeah.
Yeah. For real.
For real. Yeah, all the shit I got away with. And I'm actually in the middle of a lawsuit with one of my places where I work because they weren't paying us overtime. And so I'm owed a lot of money. So, and then they were also like taking some of our tips and giving the tips or taking the event coordinator's commission money and giving it to her, taking our tips. So that's a whole thing, which is totally illegal. So
yep.
What?
Well, good luck. I hope you get that money that's coming to you.
I think I'm gonna get it. I'm fairly positive. So I mean, there's all kinds of like the DC restaurant laws are actually like they're for the employees. They're like pro employee. So like it's by law you have to have sick leave. You can't pay for your uniforms if you launder your own, like if you're required to launder your own uniforms, you have to get paid 15 cents more an hour. Like they didn't
Sounds
do
like good stuff.
Yeah, I know, it's great, right? And they didn't do any of those things. And so I didn't know about any of these things while I was working for them. And my lawyer is like, yeah, did you know this? And I was like, no. So like, hey, run me that fucking money. I'm unemployed right now.
Right.
So,
be perfect timing.
Right, exactly. It'd be perfect timing if they're like cut me a check. And then it's like my taxes are all fucked up because of them too. It's a whole mess. So I mean, you know, this was a place where I was making like $150,000 a year. Like I worked with them for like 2.5 years. I was making a lot of fucking money, but They were just like doing us so dirty in the back, you know, like they were taking money. They were making
$250,000 a year.
Huh?
Like you should have been making $250,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should have been making a lot more. Like I could have been making a lot more money. Like I'm pretty sure there are nights where I could have made like $1,000 or $1,200 or whatever, but instead I'm making like $9. You know, even though it's still great. Don't get me wrong, but I know that they were taking money off the top. They were also taking money of our tips for the credit card fees, yeah, which is illegal in DC too. Yeah, you can't do that shit. So
do that in Michigan either. So
yeah, that sounds like a pretty common, should be illegal everywhere kind of thing. And that's another thing about our industry is like you go to work for somebody, you have to trust a lot of people above you. You know, you've got to trust your management team. To, you know, I don't like when somebody else counts my drawer. You know,
no, fuck no.
But no, sometimes you work in a nightclub setting where there's like, you know, 10 or 12 drawers and everybody's in them or different people are in them and stuff like that. And so, counting drawer. I've worked at places where I'm like, look, I'm immaculate with my drawer, like down to the penny almost everything. I don't make change mistakes. I count the money twice before I give it back to people. I make sure and look at the bill, and I'm not going so fast that I'm not looking and going, oh, that's a 20, not a 10, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Those kind of things. So I know I'm not making dumb mistakes, but had places be like, hey, this drawer is off. And I'm like, well, you better look at, you know, Jim, Bob, and Tim over there that were all in the drawer too, because it wasn't just me. So yeah, there's a lot of trust has to go into, you know, everybody on every level and stuff like that. I've heard of places where managers got fired for skimming tips and for skimming off the top and, you know, adjusting drawers and making, you know, doing funky things. They're playing by shady rules, and like, you don't even get to see them do it. You know, I'm not sitting over their shoulder watching them count everything down at the end.
Right.
Of the day.
You know what pisses me off about a lot of times with that is when, because the companies usually sue those managers. And then it's like the money that they were stealing 9 times out of 10 wasn't from the establishment, it was from the employees. And it's like, we never get that money back. We don't ever get in on those lawsuits. It always pisses me off. It's like, and I've asked questions. I've been involved with stuff or been around a thieving manager that took my tips, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing we can do or some shit, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's always some lame excuse.
Yeah. Some bullshit. It's always some bullshit, you know? It is. Yeah, it's I mean,
we're gonna take money.
Well, you know, and I think that's kind of like what gets us all after 10 years or so fed up with it. Unless you find a great place where you're making good money, you feel like family, you feel like you're treated right and fairly and stuff like that. We do get burned out on this industry because it's like they kick you when you're down and they expect you to work when you're sick. And there's a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of standing on your feet. There's a lot of alcoholics. There's a lot of people with, you know, there's a lot of people with issues that you're working alongside. You know, I've met some people that are like, man, you really need some serious counseling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, shit, we all do really, but hell yeah, man, it's crazy. It's like, you know, bartenders, the money making potential is definitely there, but it's like the people with like the fucking worst, like it's just some fucking shitty people. I know it just sounds terrible, but it's like,
no, God, it's true.
I've worked with some shitty people, man. Like it's rough. You know, I've seen
some shitty people. I've worked for some shitty people.
Yep.
I've had shitty ass customers. Like any bartender, you know that they go through it always.
Always. No, we all. It's, you know, there has to be like a level of like energy work or like meditation you have to practice, because it's almost like you work in like the devil's lair sometimes. You know, it's alcohol. People are just like being wild. Their inhibitions are gone. Like you know, you can, you know, take on and latch onto some of that negativity, and it can and it'll fuck with you. You
Absolutely.
know, like I used to have to, like, you know, a lot of the money I spent was on like getting massages and shit and like doing things to like get myself back to recalibrate myself to be normal and be happy, because I felt myself being miserable a lot of the times. Like, you know, and I'm working next to someone who's a fucking borderline drug addict, you know, crazy person or whatever. And, you know, I gotta keep my eye on drug dealers in my club because they're fucking slipping shit in girls' drinks and stuff like that, you know. And then, you know, and then you have your manager in your ear or whatever. It's just a lot going on. And, you know, as bartenders, we have to take that time to recalibrate ourselves and just like woosah, and you know, those like 2 days that you get to rub together to be off are like super duper important. And it's like those 2 days you want to use to like take care of your laundry and do your normal shit. But it's hard sometimes when you're just like bogged down with like all this shit, you know?
Absolutely. Oh my
like
God.
I need to be able to take care of all that stupid stuff, like cleaning my house and, you know, doing my laundry and catching up with dishes and just having time to myself to like do things that I like to do, like watch the shows I want to watch or play the games I want to play or read a fucking book. But also I want a social life.
Yeah.
So I want to like go out and hang out with my friends and all that stuff. And it's like really hard because I like find myself being like, I miss being home. And then the days when I'm home, I'm like, well, this is my opportunity to go do something, or I can't until another week from now, you know?
Right. Well, and hey, you know, you mentioned 2 days, like you're lucky if you can find a place where you get 2 days off in a row.
Right.
You know, like so many times it's like, oh, you get Monday and Thursday off, or, you know, like we'll give you Sunday off, but then you've got to, you know, be back to work Monday, and then we'll give you Wednesday off. Or if your days off switch every week, oh my God, like you can't get yourself on a regular, like every kind of the same schedule every week.
That schedule, yeah.
So
yeah,
frustrating.
I have to put my foot down with places. Like if I understand like the whole set schedule thing when you're working in a place where like it's a seniority based. Yeah, I do understand that a little bit, but it's like I need 2 days. If I don't have 2 days to rub together, I'm gonna be no good as a bartender. I'm gonna be a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be cranky and irritable. I need 2 days to like recalibrate and get my life together. Like I want to come home and clean my shit so I enjoy being home when I am home. You know, I want to go see my friends. I want to have sex, shit, you know, like all of everything. Like I just want to live a normal life.
Well, and again, all that kind of stuff, it plays into that. Like if you only get 1 day off and then you got to go back to work for a couple of days and then you get another day off, like your body doesn't have a chance to recuperate and stuff. And so you're not getting the rest you need, and you do get cranky. And then I'll be the one who's cranky working next to somebody who's like gung-ho and ready to go, and it's like, oh, this is gonna suck tonight. Like, you know, we're not gonna be busy. The customers are gonna suck. Don't you love that? You're starting a shift, nobody's in the place yet, and somebody's like, it's gonna suck tonight. Like, oh my God, shut up. You're killing the vibe before it even starts.
Right. I've definitely been that person. I don't get my days off. Yeah, I've definitely been that person. I'm like, fuck this place. This shit is so fucking dumb. Blah, 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 blah. You know, and then it's like 5 of you guys sitting around for like an hour doing nothing. Oh God, like I don't miss that. Oh God,
I don't either. And I hated being that person because usually, like when somebody else is that person, I'm like, hey, come on, it's gonna be great, you know, like, and I'll tell them a joke and I'll make them laugh and we'll have some fun and like it's gonna be great, man. Come on. But there's times when I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm over this. This fucking sucks. This is great.
Right.
Ugh. Well, listen, Chrissy, our time has flown by. This hour went by like super quick, and it's been awesome. It's been really cool to like catch up with you and hang out with you and share some stories of like your time grinding in the fucking business. Like that's what it's all about, man. Like we're kindred spirits, all of us bartenders and service.
Oh, absolutely, it's a brotherhood.
Folks. You know, and we recognize one another when we meet. I knew right away when I met you. I was like, Chrissy's
me too. I was like, he's cool.
Like, oh my God, they hired a cool one. They were telling me that so much. I got sick of hearing it. I was like, Jesus, who have they been hiring at this place lately? And I was like, oh yeah. Then I met some of them.
I told you, man, anyway. Detroit doesn't have the you know.
It's all good. We're not going to talk shit about them. I don't need to kick them while they're down.
Yeah.
I wish them all the best of luck, you know?
Like, yeah, me too. I don't wish any ill will any establishment.
No. Or even the people that I didn't like there. It's like, we didn't vibe. That's okay. You know, like better luck somewhere else.
Yeah. You know, I there's plenty of people I don't like, and there's plenty of people who don't like me either.
Yeah, so, exactly. Like to each their own. Well, listen, you've got an open invitation to come back on here and promote whatever kind of stuff you got going on. Like, do you have any events planned for right now?
Yeah. So, my 2021 is what I'm planning for now. So I have something that I've been working on. I'm really excited about. So I want to do a fashion show that promotes Detroit luxury brands. So the idea is to, you know, do an actual fashion show. I want to work with at least 10 different brands. And then to also do a what's the word? Like a mock car setup, to where you like walk in and then you see all these like luxury cars and you can take pictures with the cars and shit. And then you get to the actual, you know, the runway and see the fashion show. So I think I'm just gonna call it the luxury fashion show, the Detroit Luxury. That's gonna be like the name of the event. I'm looking at the Masonic Temple and also the Detroit Music Hall as potential venues. I'm planning on like spring 2021. But we'll see with this whole COVID situation, because COVID is ruining everything.
It's not going anywhere just because it turns from 2020 to 2021. I'll tell everybody that right now.
Well, we'll see what battleground is like. You know, it's like we'll have to see what the environment is like before I can like do any sort of mass gatherings. So, you know, I'm trying. This event can bring like, you know, 300 to 500 people.
That's the whole point, is to do a mass gathering. So, well,
Right.
listen, we wish you the best of luck, and I hope that
Thank you.
everything works out for that. But next time you've got something to promote, you just let us know, and we'll have you on again. We'll get together and we'll help you get the word out. Lauren, tell our fans and friends where they can get a hold of us, please.
If you guys have stories that you want to share with us, any kind of story of being in the bar, working in the bar, hanging out at bars, we don't care. Send us an email of your story. We'll read it on Line Live. Sorry, we're on my phone. And it's at barsidetales@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thanks again, Chrissy. It was so great to see you.
Thank you, Remy. Thank you, Lauren.
Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. This is fun.
Good to see
You're
you.
welcome. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you.
Bye.